Hey Changemakers, it's Julia Cha. Welcome back to this channel. Is being authentic the answer for you to be happy and fulfilled? Is it the answer for you to get what you want? And if things don't go so well and people are negative towards you, are they just all jealous of you? Today, I'm going to help you understand the connection between privilege and the need for social elegance. There are three types of content that are rampant on social media that I believe are the most unhelpful, if not damaging, to people who consume them regularly. The first type of content is authenticity content. Just be yourself. The second type of content is that whenever there's an issue with interpersonal relationship, it's attributed to somebody's jealous of you, the evil eye, the envy. The third type of content is the narcissism content. Whenever somebody is acting selfish or horrible towards you, people just call them a narcissist. And then people typically binge watch those videos looking for all the signs, trying to pick up what the red flags would be and becoming even more hypervigilant, which is quite the opposite of who you have to become in order to protect yourself from harmful types of people. By no means I'm saying that authenticity, jealousy, envy, or narcissists and those types of experiences don't exist. I'm not saying that. Only that it's just too easy for you to make those kinds of assumptions. And the way you behave after watching those types of videos is that you get this false sense of understanding of what's actually going on around you. And based on the misinterpretation of your environment, you may do things that sabotage you and harm you even further. The whole reason why you're tuning into this type of content is because you want to fix your life. You want to be happier. You want to make more money. You want to have better relationships. But these types of content that put this blanket statement without ever discussing privilege or power dynamics can do you so much harm, because how we behave as social creatures has to be in relation to the world that we live in. And these types of videos do not explore that. Another reason why these types of content are harmful is not address power hierarchies and how the world works based on those hierarchies and how we have to behave to navigate the power dynamics around us. Human experiences are complex. Again, I repeat that it's not that jealousy or narcissists or people with those types of tendencies don't exist. But if you keep focusing on other people and you do not look at yourself, how you're coming across, how you're being perceived by others, then you continue to sabotage yourself. And it doesn't matter how much you label somebody that they're jealous of you, they're giving you the evil eye, or this person is toxic, or these people are narcissists. It truly doesn't matter what you call them or how you interpret it. What really matters is the result that you're living. Externally projecting and not paying attention to how you're coming across is basically what a typical selfish person would do. And a lot of times when you've been wounded badly, it's very easy to fall into this kind of mental space. There's a part of you then that you want the world to adjust, or I don't think people should be this way. But where has that gotten you? Where you're at, if that's what you're experiencing right now, is a typical part of the growth and healing journey. But the next level that you want to look at is understanding privilege and social elegance. This authenticity type of content talks about just being yourself. The problem with being yourself is that if you're not being received well by a few people who don't think highly of you, and you are being received well by certain other types of people that can give you leverage to become more privileged, to make more money, to have a better life, then that's good. But typically what ends up happening when you're being quote unquote authentic, you end up pushing pretty much everybody away. Humans are social creatures. You can't make it alone. You need to have more people by your side. So if authenticity in that definition is not helping you, then you have to reconsider why it's not working out for you. First of all, the people who don't have to adjust at all, the people who can get what they want while being completely themselves are the most privileged people. That would be rich white men, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, or whoever you know in your life who has that kind of power. Those people can maybe wear a t-shirt to a meeting and they would be fine, like Mark Zuckerberg. But if you are a young Gen Z going to the workplace and you're claiming this casual attire because you deserve it and you want to be yourself, that's going to reflect really badly on you. The lower down you are on the privilege ladder, you cannot afford to be. Again, it's an affordability issue. We live in capitalism. You cannot afford to be authentic and do whatever you want. Instead, you have to understand how the world works and curate to be perceived as somebody that others want to help. People see you as somebody interesting, intelligent, competent, and work well with others. Don't take it personally. As an oppressed person, somebody who, first of all, has to work. If you have to work, you're oppressed. If you are a woman, if you belong to a minority group, if you're a person of color, you belong to an oppressed group. If you're oppressed, then you cannot have the freedom to do whatever you want and expect people to adjust around you. That's what privileged people do. They do that because they can get away with it. And in fact, how people perceive somebody privileged being authentic is completely different from how an underprivileged person or oppressed person, when they do it, it comes across completely different. People will find you annoying. People will find you entitled. There are a lot of negative connotation that this pure authenticity would deliver. And that connotation really depends on who you are and how you present yourself. It's people's perception of you that matters. If you're still not sure about this, then consider this. If your boss doesn't like you, your colleagues don't like you, if nobody really thinks that you are important or significant, they just don't like you at all, they just don't feel drawn to you, then you're not going to survive the corporate world at all. And this is not a time issue. Time will not fix things. There's something that you're doing that is coming across negative, uncharismatic, entitled. At that point, you cannot turn to social media, start scrolling and seeing that, wow, so-and-so must be jealous of me. Wow, it must be I'm so gifted and talented. Wow, it's because I'm so pretty and smart and competent, and that's why everybody hates me. If you get into that mindset, what will that get you? I'm not saying that jealousy or envy doesn't exist. They do exist and they do play out. However, if you believe that everybody's jealous of you, everybody's envious of you, then there's nothing you can do about it. There's no solution. Which then, that is a form of rigidity that keeps you stuck in the same place that you are. And you're gonna continuously suffer from the negativity that comes towards you. Not just negativity, but you'll be stunted in growth. People do not invest in you. They do not want to promote you. If you're in business, people do not want to pay you. Not to mention, now you have to look at fulfillment. The quality of our life has to do with the quality of the relationship we have. So if you cannot create deep connection with people, people who don't have good relationship have poor health outcomes as well. It certainly doesn't help to call these people narcissists. And when you keep watching this kind of content, it puts you in this false empowerment where now you want to speak up against them and you want to fight against them because the world is not fair. You've been done wrong. It really fires up that injustice that you've been harboring since you were very young, and not in a helpful way at all. This isn't about right or wrong. It's about, is it helpful for you to achieve what you want? If you are oppressed, you have to develop your social elegance. You have to see, where do I belong in the power hierarchy? That means you have to understand that somebody at work is higher up than you. A colleague has more experience than you. You have to see that people have different social standings. Some people have more friends. Some people have more financial power. You have to understand and read power when you enter a space. And then according to what's going on in terms of the power dynamics in the space, you have to adjust yourself and curate your conduct so you come across respectful. you come across competent, you come across warm to others. Now, social elegance does not fix people who are misogynistic and want to look down on you, does not fix a homophobic person or homophobic group of people, does not fix races. What I'm saying here is that if you embody this kind of conduct, then you protect yourself. Social elegance is understanding power and also understanding how to protect yourself in these environments. So when you have low social elegance, you go into these type of environments and you stay too long because you're not reading the signs. You may be coming from a place of, well, I'm highly competent because I'm very experienced and I'm highly educated. Look at my resume. This is why they hired me. And you're not reading the room. You're not saying that somebody's being misogynistic, racist, or homophobic. If you're not reading those signs, it's a form of entitlement that they should adjust to you because you're not reading them. You're charging in, and you are wanting to perform well, but that also comes across like you're trying to change the place and you're trying to push them to become a different type of person, or you being the person who wants to change the whole company culture. That's not going to work. So social elegance is about reading the room. Do a risk assessment. What are my chances here? Who am I dealing with here? You need to assess the character by character of all the people that you're dealing with, rather than coming in with how they should treat you because they hired you. There's an assumption that they must appreciate you or see you as a competent professional. You have all of these interpretations, and that's what gets you into trouble, because the longer you stay there with that mindset, you're not going to see more of the signs. You're not going to see somebody running games. You're not going to see different types of strategies that are happening where this group of people may have hired you for competency, but they're obviously not able to get rid of their implicit and unconscious biases. Any moment this could turn and they will mistreat you. But if you're not reading the signs and looking at the people that you're dealing with, this is how you end up getting scapegoated. The other aspect I like to point out that it is not sufficient for you to study red flags and signs of narcissists, because if you keep looking for signs in people, you will find them. You will. But people are about patterns, so you need to read patterns rather than looking at individual behaviors. You need to see a tendency. And sometimes those types of giveaway that this person is not safe are very subtle, to the point that even if you look at the best narcissistic personality dictionary, you may not find a lot of the covert signs that they're displaying. Maybe a commenteer, a type of interruption, or a backhanded compliment. There's not really a way to measure all of that. So what you have to do is to learn to observe people well, take notes, and determine based on these patterns, is this person someone I could ally with? It's not about looking for safety or trust, because you really don't know people, especially if you're working with them. Your interactions are going to be minimal with that person. It's not like living in the same house with that person. You never really know people, so you're not here to trust people. You're not here to be transparent because you immediately assume that they're going to be helpful or they're going to want to create this great outcome that you have in mind. That's projection. Instead, you have to read the person's character and assess what could be their insecurities. What are their needs? What do they really want in terms of the power in this place? How are they looking to gain more privilege? And how do they view me based on their lens, their character, through their experiences? I'm not saying that the content or books on narcissism isn't going to be helpful. It's just not enough for you to change the outcome and get the outcome that you're looking for. You want to protect yourself from these types of people. But if you keep projecting and looking at what are people doing wrong, I want to see if this collective signs or data I'm getting is a sign that this person is a narcissist. That's not going to help you. Instead, you have to look at yourself. You have to look at, how am I giving away cues that this person can run their games on me and I'm at low risk? When you're at low risk, a lot of people will try because they think that they can win. They can gain something from you or squash you and experience powergasm. So you need to start reading notes like that. You need to start thinking from this perspective instead. Then you want to consider, how do I protect myself? How do I keep records just in case things go wrong? It doesn't matter when things are going right. People can laugh, go to happy hours, or have some kind of celebration dinner. That's not when it matters. You need records for when things go wrong. And like I always talk about social elegance being a business mindset. We sign business contracts. When I work with clients, there's always a contract that needs to be signed. What is that? It's protection, because in the beginning, the client can be very excited to work with me. But in case something goes wrong, we need to have something written with all the terms and signed off. That's a business mindset. A business is functioned for that reason. It's risk management. In your case, you're just going to work. You're not really thinking. You're just interacting with these friends. You're not really thinking. But when times are good, you do not need records. It's when times are bad, when there's a problem, when you need to prove yourself, that's when you need to be able to pull out these records. But if you didn't keep those, because this is all about preparation, it's just in case. If you don't have that, if you haven't done that because you tuned out, you trusted, and you made all these assumptions, then who's going to be the one who experiences all the pain? You. This is why authenticity and that kind of content is very harmful. Nobody is truly authentic. Instead, you have to learn to curate the perception of you by the public. When you enter into workplace, the first 6 months are going to be the time to set the dynamics up. Anytime you interact with somebody, first impressions matter a lot. Anytime you are presenting yourself at the workplace, in the world, or even seeing friends, how you present yourself matters, because then people get to determine, do I respect this person? Do I want to continue to respect this person? Can I try this tiny little breach and see how that person reacts? And if you allow it, or if you react angrily, then they get data back too. And then they're going to determine what they want to do with you. They're looking at what they can gain from you, and this includes friendships too. If you're familiar with my work, if you're not familiar with my work, please go down to the description down below and look for the link for the Social Elegance Masterclass. I have 2 masterclasses there right now, and one's about friendships. Everyone does it. We live in a capitalistic world. The people that you call narcissists are just extreme capitalists. They care about their gain, and they will do whatever it takes without consideration for others. So this is the world that you're living in. So you need to learn how to adjust and navigate without triggering too many counterforces. Because as a woman of color, LGBTQ+, a minority belonging to an oppressed group, you are going to attract counterforces no matter what. Now, social elegance is about protecting you, minimizing counterforces, and making sure that you get what you want, navigating these forces. Social elegance is about navigating the world around you. It's about protecting you, minimizing counterforces, and slithering covertly, doing the power play based on who you are and how people perceive you as a person of color, a woman, or even LGBTQ+, and finding your way around this complex world to get what you want. What you certainly cannot do as who you are is to be authentic or to behave like a white man would, because guess what happens then? You'll be labeled as angry, aggressive, hard to deal with, very difficult, cold. In general, it will be negative qualities applied to you. And when people perceive you that way, you do not get what you want. It's quite the opposite. People have the ability to not only scapegoat you and throw under the bus, but completely ruin your reputation. After too many times, it becomes hard to recover. I always say, you gotta embrace your enemies. If something difficult has been happening, you need to wake up now. And instead of pointing fingers that way and saying, these people don't like me, these people don't respect women, or they're bigoted or whatever, that doesn't help you. Learn how to navigate this world to get what you want and find allies that you can work with so you can get the references and people can speak positively about you. It doesn't matter how much you think you're competent and great to work with. You need other people to say this about you. That's what builds your reputation. The last thing I want to say about authenticity is trauma dumping. A lot of people think this is authenticity. This is not authenticity. Trauma dumping actually gives people material to use against you. Quite the opposite of what you need to do. And somebody in our Unleash coaching program today, or was it yesterday, mentioned Taylor Swift, but she shares all of these troubles and she writes them into songs. Now, you have to understand, when somebody who's influential, famous, wealthy does something, it doesn't mean you can do the same thing and get that positive impact that you're looking for. It doesn't mean that you can get a leg up in status or in privilege. Let's look at Taylor Swift. She's a white woman. She was born wealthy. I believe her family traces back to the founding fathers of America, so she's got status as well. And in her case, she was able to pursue music because there was already wealth and status, and that made it much easier. We see some people who are in this music industry or become celebrities who don't come from the background, but in her case, she has all of that going for her. That was her foundation. So when she started writing this type of music, people already look up to her as somebody with wealth, status, money, being white and a woman, and she is conventionally attractive. She's tall, thin, has blondish hair, blue eyes. So you have to understand that not everybody can get away with it. It's the perception of her that allows her to make the kind of music that she does, have all of those controversies follow her, that keeps making her richer. If an average person without much status, without much money, who isn't conventionally beautiful in the white supremacist type of beauty standards, they are not going to have the same results at all. Her music is actually is a business model. She found that formula that works for her fans. She keeps recreating music within that formula and selling, and it's very effective. But if someone else tried that, they are not going to have the same results. This is why privilege and social elegance is highly connected. Now, Taylor Swift is a very interesting one, because if you really understand her trajectory and you've watched her, she still had to bear the pains of ageism and being a woman, even though she's a white woman. So we all understand the controversy between her and Kanye and Kim, right? It's old news, but apparently it's still relevant because apparently Taylor wrote a music about that. And then guess what happened? All her fans start to troll Kim's Instagram account. And this is recent, like this is this week. So you have to understand that she already has a lot of leverage. She started out with a lot of leverage. She is very, very wealthy. And the more personal she makes her music, the better it sells, because she's already coming from a place of privilege. So she's able to do that, and people look up to her. There was a study done where an upper management leader spilled coffee on their shirt, and people in the meeting were very sympathetic towards him and tried to help him. And then they repeated the same study with a newbie person, didn't have very good social standing. They were too new to the company. Same thing, spilled coffee on the shirt, and that person was looked down upon, seen as clumsy. Whereas the upper management, I believe this person was an executive, this person was looked at as humble. People saw that vulnerable moment of him spilling coffee as him being humble, or there was some kind of warmth that generated from watching him just being a normal human. Whereas when somebody at the bottom of the food chain did the same thing, spilled coffee on his shirt, it was looked down upon, and a lot of negative qualities were applied to this person, coming across extremely uncharismatic and unlikable. What you can do walking away from this video today is to consider where you belong in the privilege ladder and what you must do. What kind of perception must you create to get what you want? All of us have privilege that we're born with, and then we have earned privilege. Both count. If you watch this much of the video, then you understand you absolutely need to do the social elegance work. Your life depends on it. The time to do the work has been presented to you over and over again. Every time you had a problem, something painful happened, that was your chance to do this work. Be a proactive bad bitch. Don't be the waiting good girl. Go down to the description. Look for the link to the Social Elegance Masterclass. You can get started with the Social Elegance Accelerator course. The link is inside the masterclass. Then when you complete a portion of that, you can book a call with me or my team for 15 minutes to join the group coaching program, where some of the content that I shared today is only the tip of the iceberg of what you get in that program. More importantly, you get to apply all the concepts and how it really looks like for you. Because even when you do the course, you're gonna learn a ton in the course, but there's gonna be many blind spots of how you interpret the course. The course is gonna give you a great foundation, expanding much more into what we talked about today, and all the nuances of what you can do to empower yourself and to navigate this complex jungle of power dynamics to get what you want. Don't forget to join our free Changemaker community, where we host regular meet and greets and different types of workshops too. So check that out. Also, link in the description box. And if you haven't read my book, Bad Bitch on Top, this is your chance to start transforming yourself. This is the exact energy that you need to start transforming from the naive good girl to the empowered, experienced bad bitch. Comment down below for any thoughts that you have about this video. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in our next video.